Definition, there's actually a difference between turtles and tortoises. You didn't know that, now you do. It's kind of like what's the difference between a vegetable and a fruit. When we think of the whole idea of a turtle, it's going to be something that lives primarily in the water. So if it's aquatic, it's given the term turtle. If, on the other hand, it's going to be one that primarily lives on land, they are called tortoises. Tortoises. Now, when we think of what are the characteristics that are associated with this group, so now we're talking totally different group now. Well, there's several things to consider. Number one, they're going to have shells. So we don't think about shells with some of the other creatures like snakes and with lizards and with rhynchocephalia or crocodiles or any of the other ones, okay? So they have shells. That's going to make them a little bit unique right there. They're also, depending on the creature, they might be able to actually retract totally inside the shell with maybe some legs sticking out and all the rest. Some of these creatures are actually too big for their shell, if you've ever seen them, and they can't retract very easily. So again, they're really a sitting duck or a sitting turtle, if you will, because again, when the predator comes, they start nibbling away and taking care of them. They've got these short, stubby little legs, got 5 claws on their toes. Some of them will have flippers associated with if they're turtles, obviously, if they go in the water. And if we think about teeth, they don't have teeth, so they are toothless. But you know, if you've ever heard of snapping turtles, they can take your finger off. So those beaks can be pretty tough. So you got to be careful about getting bit. Keep in mind, even though you have turtles that are aquatic, they go in the water, they are not amphibians. These are going to be a type of reptile. So don't get that confused. Now I'm going to tell you a quick little story on this one too. This was kind of fun. When I was growing up, we had actually 3 tortoises. Over at the pet store, they used to sell tortoises. It was a pretty common little pet you can get until kids started getting salmonella from them. You know, salmonella, just like with poultry, you know, we talk about that. Reptiles can carry salmonella. It's a bacteria, and people getting sick. Anyways, it turns out that these creatures can live quite a long time. I ended up inheriting one. When I got to Akron U and I was taking my undergraduate class, I had my own little tortoise. And so during the day, it's like, what do you do with this pet? You know, it doesn't purr, you don't just put it on your lap. You know, you simply have it in a cage. I decided that I would put it outside in the grass and it could nibble on the grass while I'm in taking my classes. And so I put this little wire fence around it. And so life was good. The summer's going on. I'm taking some summer classes and all the rest. And I come home one day and to my surprise, this turtle has a broken leg. And I'm thinking to myself, how does a turtle break its leg? I mean, it's right there. It's like it doesn't do anything. This is a turtle. And the only thing I can figure is it got its leg in that little cage and flipped itself over. It had a really nice spiral fracture. So I was working as a technician at the animal hospital at this point, and I thought to myself, okay, I'm going to take him down there and we'll fix the leg. How cool would that be? So this animal I had no emotional attachment to. It's a turtle. You know, it's like a rock with legs. And so I take it down to the animal hospital, and the vet there that I work for was like all excited. Yeah, I've never done a turtle before. Let's go ahead and put a little pin in its bone. And so we go ahead and we anesthetize it, and we go ahead and do the surgery and put the little pin in there and close it all up. And everything seemed to be really good until it woke up and it stood on it, and the shell was so heavy it bent the actual pin. So now all of a sudden it was all gimpy again. It's like, doggone it, that didn't work. So it's like, okay, we have to do something different because he's still not fixed. So I ended up doing a second surgery. This time put a thicker pin in there, but we were still really concerned because, you know, it's a 4-footed creature and it doesn't, you know, sit on its back end. You know, they just kind of sit like that. And so all of a sudden it was really fun because the vet all of a sudden had this little light bulb go off. You could just see it. He's like, oh, I've got an idea. And the next thing I know, he goes into his hardware drawer. So this thing is waking up from the anesthesia table, and he pulls out this little hook. And next thing you know, he pulls out a ladder, and he's attaching this little string from the ceiling. And he takes this hook and he screws it into the back of the shell of this turtle. Not deep enough to go actually into the turtle itself, but just into the shell. And he hung it up from the ceiling. And this little turtle was up on the ceiling, hanging from the ceiling for 2 weeks, swinging back and forth like this. It was unbelievable. And after 2 weeks, again, the arm got strong enough when we released him and life was good. But it was so much fun, a little turtle mobile. Can you believe that? It was fun to kind of twist him around a couple of times too to make him swing. So, you know, these creatures have their problems associated with their shells. Sometimes, again, they're pretty heavy. So if we're looking at turtles and tortoises and all that kind of stuff, there are some that are really quite significant just based on their size. There's one that's called a hawksbill turtle. Think of a turtle that's 270 pounds. If you go to an aquarium, go to SeaWorld or someplace like that, I mean, they are beautiful to look at. Watch them swimming. But remember, they got lungs, got to come up for air. If you think of your tortoises, you know, over in the Galapagos Islands, some of these things can reach upwards of 500 pounds. I mean, you could go riding these things. I mean, that's a big animal to be able to do that. And this one's a whopper, the leatherback. This sea turtle, they say, reaches actual sizes upwards of 1,500 pounds. Those are big turtles. Turtles and tortoises, just amazing stuff. All right, so with all that said, that's all we're going to talk about with Testodines. You know, we've got this whole incredible group, and they're so diverse. The last one we're going to look at is this order known as Crocodilia.